in charge of technology for the company.
All right, so your background is in tech.
Yes.
And then your background is in?
Is in real estate. I've been there for the last 10 years and counting.
Okay, so two great brains come together, and
Yes.
this is how SILQU was created.
Was born. Yeah, so it's real estate and technology.
Technology.
All right, so tell us how you started. You actually explaining to me just
Right.
before the show began, in simple terms, how you're solving a problem in the real estate sector. So tell us about
Okay, good. Allow me to just take you back a bit so that you get to understand. Any investor or any person coming into the real estate space, you're coming into, real estate with either one of the two mindsets. You're either doing it as an investment, or you're either doing it for capital gain, to actually get some extra income. So if you're doing it for the income, you are directly going into the rental space. And coming into the rental space, well, most of us think it's as easy as ABC, where you've just bought land, you've built your apartments, you get your tenants, and then you're getting money as passive income, and then you're happy. But it does not work out like that. There are a couple of factors that you need to put into consideration before you actually go into the real estate space. One, how are you actually going to manage this unit? How are you going to get the tenants? How are you going to advertise this rental property? And most importantly, how are your tenants going to pay, and how are you going to see all these payments? And for a long time, if you're not doing it yourself, you will either subcontract these services from professionals. These are either property management companies or agents, or you get a relative. And we all know how the story with relatives is.
No, sure.
Asubuhi, you're actually doing this for someone else. If you go the property management way, so these are corporate companies, and again, you'll not get that satisfaction. You'll not get that service, especially if you own one unit, let's say in Dandora or Mathare. Because their priority, truth be told, is Kilimani and the uptown market, with people who have 1,000 units. So where do you go as a new landlord? We have an answer for you today.
Okay, we are looking forward to get to that answer. I believe Ronald will explain how now you're coming in with tech to help the sector.
Yeah, so basically with the problems which my colleague Bramwell has explained, we looked at the problems which are there in the market, and we came up with a solution. With a background in IT, I was able to come up with a solution with ideas on how to solve the solution. And then in collaboration with the experience in the real estate sector, we came up with a solution whereby once you invest in the property, we give you technology. So we now bring technology to your unit. You're able to, number one, get tenants into the platform. Number two, manage the payments, manage to see the transactions, invoice them, bill them automatically, see everything that is happening, get your money into the bank, give the tenant a receipt in real time, and also, at the same time, advertise your units once they become vacant. Also, we enhance the communication between the two. Remember, one of the biggest conflicts between a landlord and a tenant is communication. Exactly. Because now, nyumba imeja, what is next? You have to talk. You need to get your money, you need to pay. So the issue we are having is communication is very key. So you need to send a message to the landlord, tell them, okay, my water is leaking. What next? And you also need to track that issue. If you send him, maybe he's in the matatu or he's in the office, WhatsApp, he'll just forget about it. But if there's we have a tracker just to follow through the issues. So in a way, we enhance now that relationship, make it better, make the landlord know who is in their houses, how much they are paying, how much they've paid, how much money they've made. We actually give him a transactional report he can take to a bank and apatiwe kalon.
Okay, this is quite interesting. And now, where does the caretaker come in? Jinona, you have come into the space, and now we have a direct relationship, tenant landlord. Caretaker hapa katikati wenye wanakujanga kugonga kwa mlango. Now, what do they do now?
Caretaker sasa, we just minimize their job, make their job very easy. Their job is one, to make sure the premise is very clean. Number two, to make sure that when you pay your rent, they can explain to you the process in case you're a new tenant, in case you don't know. Also, number three, what they also need to do is to also make sure that the place is cleaned, and also when they come, security is there. So we just minimize their job to make sure just look at my apartment. In case there's something happening, in case there are thugs coming, make sure you do that. But in terms of payments, in terms of relationship, in terms of communication, we are good to go.
Okay, so basically they won't be knocking on your door to ask for receipts, telling you, you were saying, reminding you when you want to hammer, reminding you need to provide a receipt for 2019, and it's 2022. So now, how would you say this is better, from the system that we are used to?
Okay, so again, traditionally, how we do it nowadays, you pay your rent either via an agent or via M-Pesa, or you go to a bank queue, and then now that payment slip, you take it back to your caretaker, right? And then you're issued with a receipt. So first off, we've transformed our caretakers to accountants. They stop their daily duties to now make sure that they know who has paid what, where, what time, and there comes a challenge when people pay in installments. Like for instance, you give him 5,000 cash, and then Kesho you pay 2,000 via M-Pesa, and then after a week you give him, you deposit 3,000 via bank. So it becomes a bit of a conflict for him to actually be able to consolidate all these payments. We are simplifying all this because now with our system, these transactions are recorded on your statements, both from the tenant side and from the landlord side. And they are accessible to you at any given time. So we've made sure that we have developed this system in a way anybody, even using Mulika Mwizi, you're able to access it via USSD, the normal star 544, how we buy our airtime. So the other channel we have is a mobile app. So if you have a smartphone, you download the app called SILQU on Play Store. And then the other channel is a web, so that is www.silqu.com. We are also, this brain here is also developing a Telegram bot, so you can actually chat with a bot and you pay your rent.
Oh, I would please expound on the Telegram bot. Sounds interesting.
I don't know if you've used Safaricom Zuri. So it's an automated feature where instead of talking to someone, you're talking to the machine and it gives you commands. So it will ask you, what do you want it to do today? You want to pay your rent, you want to see your balances, you want to see your statements, you want to see your receipts for the last 1 year, you want to communicate to your landlord, you want to raise a ticket, you want to move out. Actually, we give you the option to give a vacation notice. So now you don't have to have an issue when you're vacating. Oh, my deposit has not been refunded. Why? You see, kupeana notice, we have a record. You gave a notice at this specific time. We actually send you an official confirmation and also confirm with the owner that you're moving out. So all those things you can just chat with something with a bot on the Telegram, on your WhatsApp, and poof, you're good to go. So it's just making the process seamless. So make everything which is available on the tech part, bring it to the property part. Because there's been a huge gap between the two.
Okay, and what are some of the areas that also you are applying tech into your company to help the real estate sector?
Soon we'll be paying using blockchain technology. We are looking at making things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them available on our platform where you can pay through any form of payment. So you don't have an excuse to give the landlord. And then we also give the opportunity to tenants to pay in bits. Lipa pole pole, especially after COVID. We noticed most people, they lost their jobs. Most people in the Juakali sector. These people, they earn 500 a day. Say, for example, Raida, they make 500 shillings a day. Why can't they just pay 300 shillings for rent and they have 200 shillings at the end of the day? So one of the things it does, it reduces default in terms of rent. We actually had a scenario where somebody was not able to pay rent because he was a daily customer who made money daily. So we told the landlord, why don't you try out our solution? And you can imagine, within a month, he had actually offset almost 2 months' rent. Because the guy was getting 100 shillings an acre, 200 an acre, 300 an acre. Guess what? At the end of the month, 300 is 9,000 a month.
Wow. Amazing.
And this guy's staying a house of 4,000.
So you're really helping, the common man. So I'm believing that you're not just taking the high-end customers, you're also accommodating, any space. I don't know how to put it. You know, both the low income earners, the middle level, and the high end.
Yeah, I think we were having a conversation earlier on. The solutions currently in the market would concentrate on the high-end market, right? So any new investor with your one unit in Dandora, well, you have very limited options. And, you know, you are inclined to actually go to what you call DIY, do it yourself, or self-landlording. So self-landlording is either you do it yourself. Everything we've mentioned, this as a headache, it comes to you directly. We wanted to build a solution that can actually accommodate any new landlord with one unit, or even an established landlord or a property management company with 1,000 or 10,000 units. I think we can handle as much as probably 10 million worth of transaction in a month, and of course, you know, it could be higher. So the solution we are building will give you the same satisfaction whether you have one unit or 10,000 units. And we actually built for the mass market. So, you know, your Dandoras, your Kibera. We actually have units in all these areas. Kayole, you know.
So if I come to your site and I check for a house, I'll get a house in Dandora, in Buruburu, in Lavington, anywhere.
Yes. So we do have a marketplace inbuilt in the website. And the marketplace is where we showcase available units. Because in terms of value adds, again, we don't want to stop giving value from where you actually have paid your rent. But then again, you also want to move. So what happens? You either have to call a friend, hey, do you know someone who has a pickup, who has a lorry who can assist me move from A to B? We want to also streamline that space as well. So what we're doing is we have very interesting conversations with other service providers. You know, your fundis, movers, moving companies, electricians, plumbers, all these people that you would need as a tenant. So what you need to do is, your electricity is faulty. Fantastic. Just log in, raise a ticket, take a photo,
and then
that communication is spread within a millisecond to the relevant people. You get people responding to your inquiry. So you'll actually get to see who is closest to you, just like Uber, how it works. So you see a fundi, you click on that fundi, the profile will appear, how many years of experience, this is the company, and then we will also, so they'll come to see what's the problem, do a quotation, and then you advise them to proceed. The same applies to also moving. Right. So
now, before you talk on moving, so after the fundi comes in, who do you send the quotation to, or you are the one to pay? So,
so what the fundi will do, will come, evaluate what the problem is, and then now upload it on our back end, what the quotation to fix this would be. And then now we communicate to you. So fixing this electricity is going to cost you 1,000. Okay. Do we proceed? Yes or no? So if it's a yes, we give them a green light to proceed. Yeah.
All right, and the moving bit?
So the moving bit, it applies the same. Of course, you want to move. You're able to see a couple of movers that we've vetted in the system, who've checked out, who are credible and who are trustworthy. So you say you want to move from point A to point B. The people within that specific area will give a quotation of the same. You get to choose who's the cheapest or who's your favorite. Now, most importantly, after they've delivered their services, you as a tenant, you get to rate them.
How we do it on Uber and...
Yes. Exactly. So think of Uber in real estate.
In real estate. It's quite interesting. All right. So now you've also said that you recommend or you market the property, and then you get the clients coming in. So how do you make sure you bring in the right people to these houses? Because maybe you can get someone who's not paying rent actually, but the first 2 months,
yes, basically we do a kind of a credit scoring for them. So we do identity verification for them. Remember, when you come into an apartment, you give an ID. That ID, we are able to verify that it belongs to you. Okay. So number two, what we do is, once we give them, we can check with the databases of guys like the government. We can access direct link to check through IPRS, just to make sure that this is a genuine guy. We also do something called scoring for them. When you pay late, the system automatically deducts your score, tells you this is not a good guy, based on their history. We're also looking at checking your CRB records just for
Okay.
for the comfort of the landlord, just to be able to tell them, okay, this guy has defaulted 10 loans. Do you think he's a good guy to be in your house? So the system has an algorithm actually. We put a bit of machine learning here just to be able to understand what kind of a character you are. Once we link something, we look at you, we can actually look at your social media and tell you a lot about you. What kind of a character you are.
Okay.
So we are trying to bring in the aspect of machine learning and a bit of AI, and AI to make sure that we understand your characters from the point of payment, from the point of relationships, in terms of how you're relating with other tenants, how you're relating with your landlord, in terms of your complaints. All those things, they come up as modules into the platform to be able to give you a score of what kind of a person you are. And based on that score, we can actually tell this is a good person or this is a bad person.
All right.
Another thing, we're also looking at your age also tells us a lot in terms of your character.
The age, how does age tell about the character?
How the older you become, the better your character becomes.
The more mature
The
you
more
are.
mature you are.
Okay.
So basically, if you have the young generation of 20s, you're going to have a bit of issues in terms of money. But
Yeah.
that's where we add more features into looking at the score, so that we don't just judge you based on your age, because you have people who are young who are very good. So we also put a lot of modules in terms of learning you as a character and giving this landlord something to rely on. And then when you vacate,
Yeah.
you also allow now the owner or the manager of the property to rate you and give a review, so that you don't just move out and break everything,
Yeah.
and then you go to the next unit. So the person you're going to next will just look at your reviews, and you cannot delete the reviews.
Okay.
He-
It's the permanent record.
Yeah, this is a very dirty tenant, so it will just move with you across. And then they give you a score based from 0 to 10. If you are very good, you get 10 stars. If you're bad, you get 1 star.
Okay, so now I'm getting that you're getting a lot of data of the tenants' data. So how are you complying with data protection policy?
Actually, our data is encrypted. We make sure that it's encrypted, and then we also use keys which you can never find out who data belongs to. But we make sure we adhere to our privacy policies based on the government.
Yeah.
Because number one, you have to accept our terms and conditions in terms of giving us the data. And then number two, we make sure that we don't share this data with anyone.
Okay.
Our policy states that this data belongs only to the owner. We can only see for the purposes of seeing, but we cannot share this with a third party in terms of selling the data or doing anything. So we adhere 100% to our policies of the government.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there was a story Bram was telling me earlier on of, I don't know which one between you two had, it's actually you,
me.
who had stayed in a house for
Yeah.
like a year before the
Yes.
landlord realized that you were living for free, not for free as in you were paying the caretaker, and not, the money was not getting to him.
Yes.
Right.
So I think when I moved into my current unit, I got someone. You know, when you get to the gate, security will take you to an office. Then it's told, okay, these are the units, you can choose one. So I got one, and then I paid actually. You pay a deposit and rent. So I paid and I moved in the following month. Fast forward a year later,
Yeah.
I have a knock on the door. Hi, how unafanya nini hapa? I can see kuna curtains. What are you doing here?
Anashangaa hii nyumba inafaa kwa vacant.
I'm like, I've been here for the last 1 year. Have you been paying your rent? Yes, I have all the receipts. Here they are. Then the guy is just dumbfounded there. He's just wondering, what's happening here?
I'm being flailed in my own.
Exactly. Then, I don't know, next he's telling me, get me a receipt of all the receipts you've been paying. And then it was manual then. So some of them,
Gotcha.
nimetupa kwa dustbin. Some of them, I don't remember where they... No, it's back to me now to prove that I paid.
Wow. So now, those are some of the problems that you aim to solve.
We saw this gentleman some few months back on national television who was arraigned in court, who was sending the landlord. And we do know someone who does that to date. We'll not mention them on national television. So the landlord has a kaposho mill somewhere. The landlord is also selling some motorbikes somewhere.
Yeah.
And all these funds are going into one account. So jamaa akakuwa smart. So he sends a landlord a fake M-Pesa.
Wow.
And the landlord never checks because, you know, cash is trickling in.
Wow.
And to date, so this guy was arraigned in court, having stayed, you know, having paid fake money for 12 months.
For 12, a whole year.
For a whole year.
I'm trying to understand, how does the landlord not know if you're not paying rent?
Well, think of it this way. If you have multiple sources of income going to one account, it's very hard for you to go and find out one transaction.
Yeah.
And the resources available now, if you go to Safaricom asking for a statement, they'll give you a whole lot of statements from last year.
Yeah.
And to find that one transaction will take hours.
Yeah.
And with our system, it's as easy as actually going to the date range, that specific date that, you know, your tenant has said I paid, that specific time, you can narrow it down to a very, very specific time. So if the transaction was done at 2, you can actually choose that.
Which one? And just to add on that, imagine unauza spare nyama kima. Uko na unit Kayole. And then you see, when you're paying for spares, it's like 1,000 transactions a day. So if somebody pays to your account, for you to ever find out who paid what, it's like next to impossible. So they take advantage of that. Another thing, you find someone has 100 units. Someone pays day 1, another one pays day 26.
Yeah.
You'll never
It is
find
hard
out.
to track.
You'll never find out. Unless you spend, I think, 20 days in the month trying to figure out who pays what.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So is this where you see real estate going, the future of real estate?
Basically, what we are looking at, what we are seeing now, is most people are looking into the enhancement of technology. Remember now with things like Google. Google have come up with technologies which can tell you, like now when we are coming, that there's traffic.
Yeah.
So based on their models, movement of cars, so they look at the movement of cars using satellites, and being able to predict that there is a traffic jam. So it will tell you to avoid that traffic. So we are also looking at bringing technology to the real estate. You come tell us, I want an 2-bedroom apartment with open kitchen with ABCD. The system automatically searches through the photos available in the system and tells you these are possible matches for you. These are things which might interest you based on your preferences, your settings. So we'll see most people going into technology, better ways to make your life easy. Yeah.
And speaking of house hunting, I know there's VR technology where you can just wear the VR set and then tour around the house. Is this something that you're open to, you know, incorporating?
I mean, definitely. You know, we don't also have very good stories with available agents. You know, there are so many people that have been conned, pay for this house, and you go find Kombata, I exist.
Exactly.
Right? So if we can bring that technology to the comfort of your office, or even in a studio, you know, just log in, get to walk into a bedroom virtually, definitely.
Virtually, yes.
And then after you've seen the house, now we can actually connect you to the landlord directly, again using technology. So in terms of payments, one, it becomes very secured. It's more or less like an escrow, paying through our system. So someone is held accountable, you know, and you have the satisfaction of, I can trust these guys. You know, that's where SILQU wants to go with what we are doing. And we also, we want to change this mindset of investors who want to come into the real estate space. So it's very difficult for them to actually get that trusted partner, because even families, we have stories. What happens when you invest in real estate and you're in the diaspora?
Yeah,
I'll let you. That's a whole show. That's a whole show in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes very difficult for you to find that person that you can actually trust. So we do have so many landlords in the diaspora, by the way, and they get to monitor everything. If a tenant moves in right now, the system automatically tells you, because you're able to monitor occupancy, and everything is in real time. Everything is in real time. Occupancy, you get a notification. You can actually predict your revenue for the next 3, 4, 5 months. And we do have a few landlords who, as we are speaking right now, are doing a foundation for a new building. Why? Because
you've made it easier for them.
Made it easier because this guy is already doing over 100% collection. There's a new building.
How so? You've said over 100% collection,
yes.
And I heard you say in another interview that previously landlords were having 50%.
Yes, yes.
So how you know, I'm thinking it's a big difference. So
All right.
how does that come about?
So before I answer that, let's look at the reasons why you're doing 50%. You know, you've put your rent as 20,000, right? And you found tenants. And what's happening right now, the cost of living is extremely high. So you have good tenants who probably have been paying consistently for the last 4 or 5 years. But for the few months back, they're unable to pay their rent. And you're asking for the same 20,000 now.
Wow.
So pay now or move out. What we are doing with our system is, and he's mentioned this, it enables these people to actually
Lip and bits.
Lip and bits. And it's making it easier for the tenant, because remember, this is a guy probably who's in the informal sector. He's getting his 1,000 daily or 500 shillings daily. So now it's easier for him to continue paying his rent in bits. At the end of the month, he's already paid his 20,000. What that will do, it will increase the collections for the landlord. Because as a landlord, you don't want to be chasing people and locking people and auctioning people.
Every now and then.
That's not your job. Your job is to collect your money simply, right? I think there's a quote we use is, you've spent so much in building this apartment, why are you spending so much in collecting it with all the threads? Oh, ndakuzimia stima, ndakuzimia maji, ndakufungia. Yeah, so yeah, the collections move, and we actually give our landlords a turnaround of 3 months. And the least apartment, the least house you're collecting is almost at 80, 90%. There are some we surpass to 110%.
Wow. Okay, quite interesting. Now, as we come to a close, you can remind us, Ronald, where you know people can find you and your website.
Our website is www.silqu.com. Our email is info@silqu.com. You can actually call us at 0717-888828. You can also find us on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on LinkedIn. We are on TikTok.
Okay.
Instagram.
Zote ni SILQU, SILQU official. I'm a SILQU for some.
Yeah.
So you can always call us anytime during the day or night. You can WhatsApp us. You can find all the details from our website.
All right. Finally, not Ronald, Bramwell, you can have the final say for maybe an innovator, a young innovator who has an idea. So any encouragement to them? This is your camera.
Just start, okay? You have an idea. An idea will always be an idea until you start. Start trembling. Start with, you know, your legs shaking, but start. There are so many opportunities, but it's not easy. You know, you have to consistently put in the effort. You have to consistently put in the work. However, just start and you know, work with the end goal. And I think one of the things that we are also doing is empower your team. Let your team see the vision. Let your team see the dream, so that you work together. And of course, you're going to be successful. Yeah?
Amazing, amazing. Just start. That is my take home from it.
Just start.
Yes. Thank you.
But of course, utapigwa character development, but just start.
Just start. Okay, thank you very much for coming on board and sharing, you know, some of the things that are happening in the real estate in terms of tech advancement. So that has been Bramwell and Ronald talking to us about tech in real estate. They are co-founders of SILQU. You can find that on their social pages as they've mentioned. Now we take a short break, and then Valentine will be back with some great entertainment.